Hi, we're going to be observing how things dissolve, how much can be dissolved. Is there a limit to how much can go into a substance, into a solution? Or at some point will there be too much stuff that the water can no longer dissolve it? So we want to try and find that limit. Here I have 50 milliliters of water, and I have 25 grams of copper sulfate measured out. I already measured it out on the scale. I measured out the 25 grams. So we're going to start by making observations several times. We're going to make observations with 0 scoops, 2 scoops, 4 scoops, half of the copper sulfate, and then the whole container of copper sulfate. And we're going to see what occurs. I want you to pay attention to how quickly it dissolves, if there's still crystals remaining. Think about things like that. The color of the solution, those are things that I want you to observe. How quickly the crystals dissolve, if there's crystals remaining, and what the color of the solution is. So right now we have our solution with 0 scoops in it, and I want you to make your initial observation right now. And it's just water, so you could see what it looks like. Now we're going to place 2 scoops in here. 1, 2, and we're going to mix it up. And it looks like it's already dissolved. I don't see any particles floating around in it. We can get closer. But it does look like it is dissolved. In fact, why don't we stay zoomed in here? So that's after 2 scoops. You can now make observations. Let's put 2 more scoops in. And let's observe again. You could see when I stir, you could see the cloudiness. Alright, so I just wanted to focus the camera. So you can see there's still some particles down there at the bottom, but it seems that they're dissolving pretty good. Let's pick it up and look. Let me continue mixing. And it appears that it's fully dissolved now. Now I'm going to take half of what's remaining. So I'm going to put a large amount in here. I did 2 scoops, I did 4 scoops. I'm now going to do half. So I'm going to put quite a bit of this in. And you're going to see the difference in how long it's going to take to dissolve. So I'm going to stir this one for quite a bit of time. Before I start stirring though, you could see the particles at the bottom that have not dissolved. So I'm going to start mixing. And this is going to take a bit of time. So let's see. Let's see how long until all those particles dissolve. I know it's hard to tell on camera, but there are still particles floating around. Hopefully you can see it, but there's still particles. They're not fully dissolving. If you look for the little specks at the bottom, as I spin around, you will see those little specks moving. Little lightly colored specks of like crystals that have not dissolved. They will dissolve, but the problem is we're reaching the limit. We're reaching the saturation point. So we're getting to the point where they're not going to be able to dissolve. And you can see it's taking a lot longer. The closer we get to that saturation point, the more time it's going to take to dissolve. So we're working on it, but it's still not fully dissolved. There's still some crystals there. if we want to see, we could see the bottom of the container. I know it's a little bit hard, it's not in focus, and the lighting's bad. But you can see that it's almost perfectly dissolved now. Let's go back here. So, I think we're ready to dump the rest in. It looks like it's dissolved. Oh, nope, there's a little particle. Let's stir a little bit more. On the lab it says to stir for 5 minutes, so we haven't reached 5 minutes. We expected this to take a good amount of time. Okay, I think it's totally dissolved now. I think we got all those particles. Now we're going to dump the rest of this in. This is the entire 25 milligrams, 25 grams of the copper sulfate. And we could see, I want you to observe that you see the crystals at the bottom there. You can see them. And let's start dissolving them. And we're going to stir this for quite some time. And the question is, will all of that dissolve? Will it all completely dissolve? And in early observations, I haven't stirred it that much. You could see the particles at the bottom. Can you see that I'm pushing them around? Now I'm going to keep stirring to see if some of those go away, but it really seems like those aren't going to be dissolving. There's just too many of them. There's too many particles, too many crystals, and not enough water. So I can't imagine that all of those are going to dissolve, but we're going to keep stirring for a while just to see. And the solution has gone, it's no longer clear. Most of the time when we see solutions, they're translucent, you could see through them. But look at all this. If you just look at it, it looks like it's so much thicker. The blue color is so much stronger. And it just seems that the water or the solution can't hold any more of this, no matter how much I continue to stir. There is a limit to how many crystals can be dissolved into a solution, and it seems that we've reached that limit. So I think at this point now, we've stirred for about 1.5 minutes. I'd say that we can probably make our final conclusions. No matter how much we stir at this point, there are crystals, you can see me pushing them around at the bottom, that are just not going to dissolve without more water. All right, so we've come to the conclusion that there is a limit to how many crystals can be dissolved, and we have reached that limit.